Hello, and welcome to Beast Fables, a role-playing game show that follows the lives of tiny beasts in a massive world. I'm Brian, and I'll be your narrator for today's game. We'll be diving into Interlude 2, Under Stone and into Death's Domain. I use he/him pronouns, and I'm the founder of Dungeons on a Dime. I'm joined today by Ver. Could you please introduce yourself to our lovely audience, Ver?
I can certainly do that. My name is Ver. I use they/them pronouns. I am an illustrator and comic artist, and during the interlude, I will play Grear, a operative of the Tusk Legion and member of the Tanner's Guild.
Oh, I'm just getting chills just hearing it. This will be the part of the show where we have things to announce. Ver, do you have anything to announce?
Not this week. No, but do you have anything?
Well, I've got a little teaser. Next week, I've got a very big announcement that is going to be coming about a project that I've been working on. It's going to be very exciting for you guys to hear, so please tune in. And remember to follow us on social media. That's at Dungeons on a Dime and at Verface, and you can follow all the cool things that are happening in our day-to-day lives. Anyway, in today's game, we'll be playing Adventures on a Dime, a role-playing system designed to tell exciting stories with simple rules. You can download these rules for free from doed.co.uk and use the fully automated character sheet with our sponsor, Roll20. Now, Roll20 is an easy-to-use virtual tabletop platform. It's what I've got shown up here. I'm going to draw a smiley face for everyone who's watching on YouTube. Hello. I love drawing smiley faces. They make me smile. You can play online on Roll20. It's basically the Zoom of board games. You can play online for free, you can roll dice, you can keep track of campaigns, and even get little digital adventures, artwork, games, and everything else that you need on the Roll20 marketplace. Roll20 is awesome, and we love them forever. They sponsor the show, and they're wonderful, and they're great, and we love them. Oh, hey, it's
Thank
a Grear.
you, Roll20. Yes, she's very mad.
Oh, no. Now, Ver, could you please give us a recap of what happened on our last Beast Fable?
Oh, yes.
I'm going to change this to an unhappy face because Greer's really unhappy.
Yeah, thank you. No. Wait. I can't. I wanted to turn the eye around so it looks like the kind of like smiling squinted eye, but I can't manipulate things. You can do that.
I got you.
You have the power. I'm waiting. Oh no! What happened?
It grabbed part of their face as well. Okay, yeah. Hang on. You give the recap while I figure this out.
Yeah, yes, please. All right. So last week we began an interlude in our adventure. Up until this point, we have been following the travels and tribulations of Balthazar and Pipistrel. However, for the time being, we are taking a step away from them and focusing on a different part of the Bursley Woods. And as part of this new little mini adventure, we met Grear, a hare and an operative of the Tusk Legion, a kind of, I don't know if I'd call them a military force, but they're kind of like an aggregation of beasts who have united over the course of the Boer Wars, a very kind of cataclysmic event that shook the woods. The Tusk Legion kind of is a bunch of beasts that joined forces to try to drive these intruding Boers out. The Boer War has ended a few weeks, I think
a couple months.
Oh, it's been a couple months now?
It's been a couple months. This is the thing. You guys are on the frontier of the Boer War. There are settlements further out that are just finding out that it's ended. So for them, it might have only ended a couple of weeks ago. But where you are on the front lines, it ended a couple months ago.
We already know. Okay, yeah. So we're on this frontier of where the Boers were last seen. And a camp of the Tusk Legion has been camping out outside of the city of Holdall, as there has been word of perhaps some errant boars still around, so they wanted to check it out. And as this what would they be called? Like not a legion necessarily, because they're T19, but they're like a group. I'm not sure how should I refer to them.
I had a term for them in my notes. I think they're like
a regiment.
A regiment would be what they are. Like regiment would describe them. I think they had like a term, but we'll say regiment for now because I can't find it.
So our regiment, or this particular regiment, T19, is stationed closest to Holdall, and my character, Grear, was her presence was requested by the commander of the regiment, Commander Clay, a squat, round frog whom I love, as he informed Grear that the Tusk Legion had sent some diplomats into Holdall a few weeks ago, a pair of rats who were contacted or had a contact in Holdall, a crow called Walnut. Why can I not pronounce that word? A crow called Walnut. And this crow was supposed to act as a liaison between a few of the kind of leaders of various factions in Holdall. Now, these two diplomats were not heard from, and neither did they return in the allotted time that they were supposed to Broken Tusk, the kind of headquarters, let's say, of the Tusk Legion, nor did anyone else kind of see them on their way there, or we didn't see them exiting from the city in our particular station. And Commander Clay had requested that Grear enter Holdall. As well, she is a operative of the Tusk Legion. She doesn't really wear their regalia. She's kind of like a freelancer who works with them, or like a mercenary. So she could go in kind of more incognito and try to track these people down. During the course of the meeting that we had, turns out that someone was slightly eavesdropping on us, and we were introduced to the character of Hiccup, a lovely mole a character who happens to be a member of the Stitchers Guild, let's call it Dr. Caste of the Beast World. And as Commander Clay was kind of explaining to Grear, she would be going into Holdall kind of incognito because there's some manner of unrest in the town. And they don't want to go in there as a regiment to not increase any unruliness or fear from its denizens. And the small Hiccup, upon hearing that there is some manner of unrest in Holdall, had quite a bit of concerns, as apparently the charter house of the Stitchers Guild it's the only charter house. It exists in Holdall, and it holds a lot of written down knowledge that could be lost if the city succumbs to any kind of damage or riots. And he requested that, or he asked Grear if she could swing by the charter house and collect any particularly important tomes or information from the members there, as he would be quite keen on recovering and safeguarding any information so he can copy it down and then return it to the charter house once he's done. And upon getting some information from a person who, or a beast who had lived in Holdall before, and kind of getting the lay of the land, Grear set out of the camp, and as she was bounding down the hills in the direction of Holdall, she caught the scent of campfire or of burning wood from the direction of the city.
That is a really good summary of everything that's just happened.
It was
yeah.
Like, that was like 2 hours, and she just walked into Commander Clay's tent, out and like onto a hill. Like that's all that she did, but there was just so much to go over.
I feel
Lots
like
of establishing
it was
information.
As typical with role-playing games. There was a lot of
a lot of fluff.
Not a lot of fluff, but like a lot of things happened behind the scenes that weren't quite expected.
Yeah, I suppose. That's a good way of phrasing it. Yeah. We definitely like our roleplay, so sometimes it's not as straightforward as I'm going to the city because I got a talking character to this little bird called Redclaw and slightly terrorize him because everybody's scared of me.
Okay, so you are on the edge. I'm not going to say on the edge. You are closer to Holdall now. You are smelling now more strongly the smell of wood smoke, and you can see that there is the glimmer, because it's maybe 11 in the morning right now. I'd say, yeah, 11. With your conversation, because it took 2 hours, like, with your conversation, with your briefing, with your talking and meeting with Hiccup and with Redclaw, and then a quick sprint over to Holdall, you're now looking at the city kind of rising in front of you. You can see that there is a large... The tree itself is pretty big, and it's in this large gap. There are trees dotted around this space, but it's this channel between 2 large forests that are very thick. And you get the vibe that it's almost like Holdall is this wall of between this channel here. The tree of Holdall itself is very large, but has been reinforced with stonework at its base, and then large wooden structures all along the side and up into the branches as well. And you can see now that at a distance it just looked like a dead tree, but the branches have actually been grown and bound together, so that they're individually stronger, and all sorts of buildings of all shapes and sizes, wooden structures, are built into these large branch platforms, which kind of fits the road vibe that Redclaw was describing to you, that each of the branches is a different address.
Do I see the elevator that he had mentioned as well?
So you can see it at a distance. You do see a long, like, it goes against the natural curve of the tree. It's a long, straight shaft up one side. We'll say the eastern side of the tree. But you can't necessarily, you're not quite close enough to see where the elevator's at. You just kind of see, like, a strip of brown that's different to the rest of the tree, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Because some of the directions I got would be orienting myself with regards to the elevator. The Yellow Band Club, where the crow apparently resides, is supposed to be opposite of the elevator, so that's why I'm thinking she would be already taking stock of the tree and figuring things out. Also, I just want to say, like, a big tree, something about the fact that it's reinforced with stone at the base makes it so cool. I don't know why, but I really like that, because it's not something you obviously do with trees that we would do with trees. I just really love the visual. I'm very excited about that.
I'm just going to say that this is something that Grear would know. Trees reinforced with stonework at the base are a sign of badgers and moles.
Yes.
It is. You can't tell the architecture up close. You can't tell what other sorts of creatures live there, but it is very common where badgers live. They make gorgeous, well, to some it might be gorgeous, to you it's just stonework. Well, actually, I don't know what Greer's inclination is towards art.
I think Greer's the kind of person where she, on a logical level, she understands that art is nice, but she just doesn't get it. She's one of those people. And I feel it extends to feats of architecture where she's just like, she's more like, yes, it's reinforced. You know, that's good for X reasons. I don't think she considers it aesthetic much.
You appreciate it on a mechanical level. I'm going to change the music to something a little more interesting.
Yeah, right now it's music of me sightseeing, and I feel things are a little bit more intense than that. Because I also recall Redclaw did tell me that there were what are they called? Like Smith. What are they called? They were like caverns underneath the tree where the ore beaters would work. So like the smith cased. But I think they're defunct or something. They're not used anymore. Is that
well? You don't know. He just said that there's the old tunnels, but he didn't mention anything about them. Actually,
okay. He did say old tunnels, so I think she assumes they're not in use right now. or they're used for something else like storage. But this would kind of line up with that.
You know that the Badger architecture is elaborate, is the word I would use to describe. I think that's the best way of Greer's understanding of it. You know that it's extremely elaborate. But essentially it's a sign that Badgers live or lived here, and there are forges underneath the city, which corroborates with what Redclaw has said.
Yeah. Forges, there we go. That's the word that I just totally could not remember. Yeah. Sweet.
So, do you want to try and circle at a distance around to get a view of the western side of the tree? And possibly this slight glimmer of flame that you see.
So it is a glimmer of flame. Okay.
And it seems to be on the western side.
At a distance, do I, like, hear anything? Like, yells or... Because there was mention of unrest, and I'm trying to get an idea of how bad the unrest is.
I would say, you've got keen ears, so I'm not going to make you make a roll. You just know. You hear the sounds of a crowd, and it's got of people talking, and it's a lot of energy. You know how, like, you can hear, like, a football game from a stadium from far away, but you can't tell if anyone's winning or losing. It's just sort of that hubbub. You hear a lot of creatures talking. Well, not talking. It's loud, but it's far away. You can't tell if what they're saying.
Yeah, that makes sense. If I can't even see them yet. Well, I think if she's kind of bounding up from the, let's say, eastern side a little bit, is there any obvious entrance point into the city? Because there's no reason for her to not just try that.
You could try searching for an entrance to these tunnels.
Oh no, she's not thinking of tunnels. She's thinking of getting, like, seeing, what's up in the city. Like, if she approaches and someone's like, "Don't go in, there's fires," or someone's like, "Oh, we're having a big football match. Don't worry about it." She wants to figure out what's happening. You can't see any if
there's one road into the city from the east and from the west. They don't seem to be necessarily... You can't see, like, checkpoints or guards or anything like that. There are buildings on the outlier, but it seems to be that most of the buildings are concentrated in the upper reaches of Holdall, rather than around its base.
Okay. Well, I think she'd still kind of go for the checkpoint as she's coming in, just to get an idea of what's happening. Even just information from someone, some kind of, like, security rat to tell her, like, hey, here's what's happening. Because she doesn't know. We just know that there might be unrest, or that something's brewing, but we don't know what.
So if this is the T19 camp, where the... What do we call them? Legion? The
Tusk Legion, or the Regiment of the Legion.
Regiment, that was it. The Regiment of the Tusk Legion is. This is the road. I assumed you were running into the grass, so I'd say you're roughly about here. So you're not in the forest. The road goes through the forest pretty much up to Holdall. There's not a lot of distance between where the forest ends and there's a bit of grass and then it's Holdall. So you could go to the kind of more western and southern, or the more northern and eastern.
Well, it seems like the northern and eastern is closer from camp. I don't think there's a reason for her to kind of go around. So she's gonna make a beeline for that route and see if she can gain some information from whatever first checkpoint there is nearby.
So you start to, you continue your long strides through the grass on all fours, moving quickly. And it takes maybe, at your speed and size, 20 minutes to kind of dash through the grass of the meadow. And it's the end of the summer. The grass is dry and yellow. It hasn't rained for a couple days, so it kind of swishes and crackles around you.
That's uncommon in Scotland.
Yeah, like it was unseasonably hot over the summer. As something to mention as a general, like, backlog, or just a piece of information in your mind, it's been unseasonably hot and long. Which is unusual. Normally it's quite wet.
Yeah.
So you dash forward, and to kind of save time, you're running along the edge of the trees where there's like the roots of the trees make the earth untenable to grass, and so it's sort of like this. You're more visible, but because you're not necessarily trying to hide, you're able to move very quickly along the edge of the forest towards the road. And you get to the road, which is here, packed earth, just like well-trodden, well-worn, with stones lining the edges to kind of keep the path clear, and to show that it's very much a road. And the stones are, like, it's a very, almost like a small, very low wall, maybe a couple paws width up. So you have to step over it, but it's like very clearly road. You look,
it's like a curb.
Yeah, like a curb. You look down the road towards Holdall, and there are some wooden arches that mark a sort of entrance to the kind of the air quotes Holdall domain. How would you? And you do see low stone buildings, sort of like domes that have little chimneys that are near the base of Holdall that aren't the underground caverns. And several smaller wooden buildings near them as well. What would you like to do?
Do
How
I
would you
see
like
any
to approach?
movement among these buildings? Any kind of obvious, like, person, beast person hanging out?
No. Though you haven't approached. But you don't see people just walking about in the street.
Yeah. I think, like, there's no reason for her to be stealthy about it. Like, she's just, as far as they're concerned, she's just like a hare who's traveling. So she's going to kind of continue on the road. And she's going to be passing through these buildings, she's just kind of gonna slow down a little bit and look around, or hear, or listen rather, if there's anyone present, since once again she's trying to get an idea of what's happening in Holdall, and these are likely the first people who will know.
So you notice as you're walking past a lot of the buildings, I say a lot, maybe there's like 20 or 30 different like stone houses that are kind of above the ground here. Some of them, or most of them, have curtains drawn, doors shut and presumably locked. Not that it would be kind of appropriate to just go test them. You do see closer to the base of Holdall, because you're also near the eastern elevator, there's like a raised wooden platform. You're now close enough that you can look up the kind of the wooden structure of the elevator, and you notice that at the very top of the tree, there is what appears to be some kind of like the elevator itself, but it's not moving up and down. You look and you see that there are wooden buildings as well, like offices, and presumably like some kind of trading space for stock to get unloaded, and maybe a warehouse. But there doesn't seem to be many people here. There is a rat and a squirrel. The squirrel is in padded like tunic with like the crest of Holdall, which is a tree with a star above it. And the squirrel is holding a spear, so kind of like looking sort of like a guard. And then the rat is sat rather fidgety on a stool near one of these offices.
The rat doesn't happen to match the description of the people I'm searching for.
No, the rat's white all over, with brown socks.
That's very cute, actually.
And they have they have like a blue scarf on, and they've got like brown socks on their feet, but their forepaws have got like flecks of black. Presumably, as you get closer and you look, they have a ledger as well.
Okay. Well, Grear will kind of, like, as she's approaching, do they react in any way? Do they clock her?
They clock you.
Her down?
Do they look, and yeah. The squirrel, I have decided on a voice for squirrels. I think, how do you think a squirrel sounds?
Oh, I'm not the best judge of voices. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have a good idea for this one. I'm not the best.
I think I got it.
Apologies.
Got it. So the squirrel turns and says, "Ho there, hare. What do you be about? And kind of steps
have...
forward. The spear isn't at all like lowered aggressively, but they've got a hand on their spear.
Gotcha. Grear will slow down and kind of come to a stop a little ways away. She's still kind of en route, so to say, but she's not gonna just blast past them. And she says, I have business in Holdall. I'm supposed to meet with someone, but on my way here, I could smell a campfire on the wind, and I see perhaps flickers of flames. What's happening in the city?
As a tone for the conversation, what are you hoping to get out of it?
She wants to find out, like, what the state of things are. Like, is there a huge riot? Will he just say, avoid the main road? She's trying to get an idea of how things are in Holdall.
Okay.
And if it'll be easy or difficult to traverse.
So I'd like you to make a willpower check, and you can tag a skill if you'd like to, as you're trying to kind of emote and communicate.
Alrighty.
And for everyone at home, I'm going to pull up Grear's character sheet so we can see what they've got to work with.
Yeah, I don't really think she has anything to tag in this situation, because she's not necessarily, like, being menacing with her sinister aura. Neither is she particularly grim determination. She's trying to approach this rather neutrally, just like, oh, hey, I'm on my way here. What's happening?
Yeah. Okay, I'd say it's just a straight willpower roll then.
Oh no! Are you kidding me?
Well, something goes terribly wrong. The narrator describes how things go awry and hijinks may follow.
I just asked a question and something like I'm just gonna get stabbed or something.
No, so it's not roll for initiative, but the squirrel just turns, looks at the rat, who is looking rather jittery, and the squirrel just says, "You're clearly not from round." Oh wait, hang on. You're clearly not from round here, Hare. It's best you turn around and go back the way you came. Give it a couple days.
Her ear kind of twitches, and I think she's just going to... She's going to straighten up a little bit, and say... oh god. Ah! This gosh dang hijinks. Well, I'm afraid my business is quite urgent. I have to make it to Holdall now. I suppose even if it's in a state of some manner of chaos, I can handle myself.
At you saying a state of chaos, I'm gonna say, because you're very perceptive with, like, creatures and beasts, the rat looks even more nervous. In fact, the rat is, like, behind the squirrel. Your eyes kind of dart a little bit to the rat. The rat is giving you, like, the cut-off motion with its hand. Do you know what I mean? Like, the kind of stop talking. Yeah. Give me the cut-off motion. But you see also the squirrel's tail bristle slightly. And the squirrel just says... It kind of leans in, looks you in the eye... And it's kind of above you as well. It's got height advantage from this wooden platform that it's kind of standing on for the dock, so to speak. It's looking down at you and says, "You best be off."
I think she looks at this squirrel, and like her eyes kind of dart from the rat, and she looks at the squirrel. And completely unflinching, she just says, struck a nerve, have I?
The squirrel takes a step back from the platform, and as part of that movement kind of shoots a look at the rat, who is now looking anywhere but the squirrel. And the squirrel says, "I will have you escorted out of here if you're going to be causing trouble. You best leave." And you can tell from the body posture of the squirrel that it's now very aggressive. It's holding the spear more aggressive. It's not leveling it at you, but it's looking much more intense.
If I listen around with my keen ears, do I... Because they're saying it like, oh, I'll have you escorted. Does it sound like they have anyone to back them up?
Make a cunning roll and use
Okay,
advantage.
can I tag my... Yeah, thank you. Let's see. Oh, a critical success.
Critical success. You kind of listen as you can with your ears. You do better than expected the narrator to describe how things go in your favor with an 8. You can hear that there is some kind of like muttering and scratching sound from within the tree, like nearby. You look and see that there is a natural hole, maybe a few spans up the tree, that would be large enough for a squirrel to kind of scrabble in and out of. You presume it maybe as a guard post. The muttering, you think maybe a card game's being played.
Okay, so they're distracted. She's here on a mission. She's not gonna stop because the squirrel is having a bad day. Oh man. So, yeah. She looks up at the squirrel. She just looks up at the squirrel, says, "Understood." And then she just runs further down the road before he can, like, call anyone or... Because, like, if she books it, she has strong legs. She's a very fast runner.
So...
They won't be able to catch her.
This isn't a checkpoint necessarily into the... I'm going to draw a little map. So, I'm scrolling up to the space. Essentially, if this is, like, Holdall, the outside, it's not necessary to proportion. There's this sort of, like, staging platform area and the lift. And there are, like, little stone houses and things like that.
So this is east, this is west, north.
So you know there's stuff happening over here, but my point is that, like, you're here.
Stuff is happening to the west, I did not realize. Whoops.
Yeah, that's where you could see the people in the fire.
Oh,
at
I did not
a large
realize
distance.
that.
You were, like, here-ish, but much farther away, if that makes sense.
I thought I'm like southeast, because that's where the I thought I'm coming from this direction.
No, as in like you did. So you were over here, and then you circled down to the road, and then you approached over here.
Okay.
So you're here with this little X's. And essentially you're not at an entrance to the city. What you are, but the lift isn't coming up and down. There's a little guard station that seems to be here, so you could go either around either end of the tree, and you don't think he could catch up with you. So if you just want to run away and go around the side of the tree, down these sort of like...
What she wants to do is she's thinking, okay, I can't get into the tree right now, because they're in this guard station. I can't go in the lift because it's not working. I can't climb up the side of the tree. I'm not a flyer. She's gonna try to find the old tunnels. To go up from underneath into the inside.
Yeah.
And up. So she's her thing is just like, he's like, oh, we're gonna get you escorted. She's just like, sure. And just runs, and she's going to try to because she needs to get into the city. She doesn't have time to deal with this nonsense. So she's going to try to, like, apart from ditching them just by virtue of being very fast, she's going to try to find via that reinforced kind of area at the root of the tree if there's any entrances or anything to go into the old tunnels, and find her way into the tree that way. Because she knows there's a spiral staircase on the inside of the tree.
Yeah.
Because Redclaw told her about it.
So, you book it, we'll just say, like, to the north, so, like, round this side. And you are looking. You're seeing that there are these stone buildings. Some of them seem to be more like, we'll say blisters, that are built into the ground but aren't connected to anything. But you do notice there are a few stone buildings that look clean and clearly connected to the larger stone architecture at the base of the tree. I'm going to say at the base of the tree, you can see that, like, some of the roots lift up and they have large stone walls, or occasionally you see a vent where some smoke is coming out that smells of like the coal and forge that you've passed at some point, one time or another. Make a cunning roll for me to look for an entrance to the caves.
Okay. Let me see if there's anything I can. So I have an ability of tracking beasts. Would I be able to see if there's any tracks on the ground, like, oh, this is a badger track, badger, foot. What is it called? Tracks? Foot? I forgot what they're called.
Footprints. Paw prints.
Footprints. Paw prints. They're leading
yes,
into...
I'd let you tag it.
Okay. So this is a cunning check, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh!
Ooh, another critical success. So, I'm gonna say that your first thought is to try and track badger prints, but you realize if these are old tunnels, they're probably not being used. So instead, you look for the elaborate architecture built into the chimneys. That's what I meant when I said vents, was like chimneys. And you're looking for these stone chimneys that have these intricate sort of like knotwork carved designs along the large stone bricks. And you're led further and further out from the city, from chimneys that are lit to chimneys that aren't lit, until eventually you find a chimney that is fallen in on itself. And has grass growing over it, and like there's a little ladybug kind of chirruping that flies away as you approach.
Yeah.
And you think that
I imagine she's like running, and she's darting between these buildings' chimneys, probably straining to listen if the squirrels are like, "You get back here! You violated the law!" or something, and kind of darting between the buildings so they can't catch her as easily. And then she sees this collapsed chimney, and just says "jackpot" as she kind of will continue with the momentum and basically try to dive in.
Yeah. Let's dive into the chimney.
Well, like in a way that a cool action hero would.
Okay, cool. I can roll with this. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I won't say something bad happening. I'm just like, oh, that's actually way cooler than the idea I had.
Well, I imagine she like does this thing if there's a few collapsed elements, like if it's a little elevated, she kind of does like a jump off of one rock, jump onto another, and then kind of leap upwards onto the she probably like kind of parkours into the inside a little bit, so she leaps off of a higher stone, kind of puts her hand on the edge of the chimney to kind of hoist the rest of her body over, and she's gonna do that thing where she's going to like have her legs kind of on the two sides of the wall to kind of slide herself down, like a wall slide. Down. Yeah. Okay. She's gonna wall slide down like a gosh dang Mega Man.
Yeah. So you notice as you're running away, the squirrels don't seem to be pursuing, because you don't hear any voices or any like "Stop! You violated the law!" sort of vibes.
Yeah. Thanks for the approximation of my voice there.
No, I was trying to do squirrel, but it went way too high. Anyway, but you parkour down a chimney, and which has no smoke coming out of it.
Yes, I don't want to be a...
Yeah, I don't want to be a cooked hare.
Yeah.
So you descend down, and quickly the light disappears around you. You descend this chimney. There's the... As you slide down this structure, which aside from the slightly collapsed top from weather, it seems to have remained entirely unbroken. The soot scrabbles around you, and you emerge in complete darkness, in a cloud of soot, and you sort of like cover your face a little bit, but you can feel the soot and dust and dirt like clouding over your fur, but you can't see anything.
She will remain still for a little bit after landing to see if she hears anything scrabbling or moving, if her descent here was in any way roused
Observed.
anything. Yeah, or
You-
perceived.
You stay there. I'm gonna have you make a cunning roll.
Okay. Can I use my hearing for this? Because I don't see anything.
I would say you're trying to see if you've been spotted. So I'm saying this is more of a stealthy sort of action. Are you doing anything to try and hide yourself?
Well, as a Tusk Legion operative, I'm quite good at stalking marks, so I suppose maybe
yeah,
I
I'd let you
can
tag
reverse engineer that and know what to do as a potential mark to not be stalked. So this is a cunning again?
Yes.
Alright. Uh-oh.
Ooh. So you rolled a
That's
3 and a
6.
6, which would have been a complication, but instead it is a success. You hold yourself very still, and you breathe slowly and steadily, despite your beating heart, like begging you to breathe faster, and that saves you from choking on the dust. Aside from the of like occasionally a bit of debris or dirt falling down the chimney after your descent, you hear nothing.
Okay.
Like almost absolute silence. The air down here is cold.
Oh. Was it particularly warm?
It was
on
the
the
end of
top
summer.
side?
We'd say maybe it was 15 degrees for a morning.
Okay, that's
Up
decent.
top, but here the air is maybe 4 or 5 degrees.
Oh, okay.
It's cold.
I
You can
imagine
feel it as
for,
you've got a bit of sweat worked up from your sprint, running first to
I'm
Holdall and
I'm
now here,
a
and you're sort of.
creature. I don't
yeah.
think we sweat as much. Like beasts.
Well, I mean, like
They sweat a little bit, but their ability to moderate their body temperature isn't nearly as potent as that of humans.
I did not
humans
know this.
sweat a
I
lot.
assumed that animals also sweated.
Well, I think they do to an extent, but they don't sweat as much as humans do. Because that's like our big thing is that we're able to really effectively regulate our body temperature when we exert our bodies, which is why we can go
I
for
know how I
like
would
super
describe
long
it.
distances.
All of the blood is like to the very tips of your ears.
Oh yeah.
Because you're trying to like heat regulate, and suddenly your ears start to chill, and you feel the blood withdrawing naturally.
Yeah. But I think with the kind of feeling the chill of the air, she gets
Yeah.
that kind of ghibli like fur, kind of that chill going
puffs
over
a
her
little
body
bit.
a little bit. Yeah, just because I really love that thing in Ghibli movies. So after stilling herself, she and realize like kind of getting the idea that nobody's here. If she feels around, does she seem to be like in a tunnel, or by the sound of these little rocks and stuff kind of coming into the tunnel after her, does she get an idea if she's in an open room or
You seem to be
in a small place?
an open room, moderately sized. Again, you can't see anything. You kind of you put your hands out. You feel that you have come out in some kind of large open fireplace.
Okay, so presumably it probably connects to a rest of a room. She
And there is like more room beyond you.
Yeah. Gotcha. So I think at this point we can just very quickly mention that after the game last week, Brian asked me to choose a fortune. Was that what I chose, right?
Yes. So there were 3 fortunes.
Yeah. So we're already going into we kind of already selected a scene, but we just did it at the end of last week to get an idea, or for Brian to know exactly what to prepare for me. So
you had 3
do
fortunes.
we want to? Yeah.
You had light of foot and out of sight, swimming through sweat and fury, and under stone and into Death's domain. And you chose under stone and into Death's domain.
Because
so we
let's
had a
be
bit
real,
of an idea
that title
of what
is
we were gonna...
metal.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the title is metal.
But yeah, Brian had kind of asked me if I can choose it a little prematurely, just so he can do maximum exciting things for this week. So that's the one.
Yes.
That's the one that I selected. And it seems that I have packed myself into a domain of death. Maybe I made the wrong decision. But I do imagine, because my brain is like video game references 60% of the time, in Dark Souls, when you enter a new area, it just like the name of it appears on your screen. So I
Yeah.
imagine the title of this
I
scene.
feel like the title of the scene would have been you as you scrabble down the chimney. Like it would have been a long Scrabble animation, like, and then like it would have like come up with the soot as it out of the
Yeah.
chimney.
And as she stills herself and listens, and then kind of uh realizes that okay, she is alone. So sensing that there is a larger room beyond her, if it was a tunnel, she would continue on in the darkness, trailing her hand on one side. But if we're dealing with rooms, she's going to take out her hooded lantern. She's going to adjust it in a way, because I imagine it's that hooded lantern with like the kind of adjustable, like, how would you call it?
Well, the hood. Essentially, it
Well,
can either like shed light all around you like a regular lantern, or you can put the hood on
yeah,
and it
or
puts it down in a
like,
beam in
okay,
front of you.
yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, so that is because sometimes I forget if that's what it means or if it's the one that just has like a little roof over it. Okay, so yeah, she's going to adjust the hood of the lamp so it doesn't go everywhere, so it's a little bit more like a
so it's just
flashlight.
a beam shooting down onto the ground. So it takes a moment. You know everything on your person by sense, so you're able to put your pack out, get the lantern, assemble it, get the oil, like carriage, and put it in, and you do all of that naturally. But it takes a second for the flint and the spark that you have to get going, and all you see is like the tiny flicks of bright hot red iron that in your vision, in complete inky blackness, and then a very gentle of the tinder you have, which you slowly and gently move into the lantern to light the wick. And you notice that aside from you moving it, there's no wind down here either. Like the fire is gentle and soft. And then as it lights in the lantern, gently yellow light, red and then yellow and then orange, blooms out in a beam in front of you, and you notice that yes, you're in a fireplace. And as you pick up the lantern, some of the light blaze onto yourself, and you were originally a brown and slightly grey hair, and you are now a black hair.
Disguise, good. They'll never know it's me. All right. She's probably gonna kind of shake herself in the way that animals do, at least a little bit. I doubt it'll get most of the soot off, but at least it'll. If there's anything that's a little deeper in there and kind of itchy or anything, she'll try and get rid of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's gonna pick up the lantern. And is there any obvious? Am I in a room with an exit? What am I kind of looking at here?
You seem to be in some kind of, as you scan the beam around, some kind of living room. Everything is now coated in a fine layer of coal dust from the chimney, but there is a couple bookshelves, there's a low table. You scan the light around, and you notice that all of the furniture in the room seems to be sized for larger creatures like badgers, which would match the architecture. There is a table built into the wall, and some kind of husk, some shadow lying over on one of the chairs.
Oh, heck. Does it look like the silhouette of like a creature big enough to fit into this furniture, or is it like a...
It does. Your instinct immediately makes you seize and stop when you see the figure, but you see it's not breathing, and you hear no movement.
Yeah, well, she imagines, or I imagine, that if she had fallen in, through the chimney, like some clumsy Santa Claus right into someone's living room, they would have some reaction. She will just very as silently as she can, she's kind of gonna approach, just to see if it's indeed a dead body, or if it's just like a bogeyman, like some kind of clothes that are stacked the laundry chair of some badger.
You approach slowly with the lamp in front of you. It seems to have been some kind of creature, beast. You get closer. How close do you want to get?
Well, enough so she can cast light on it to kind of if she can make out any detail, like a hand, a foot.
Yeah, so maybe a few paws away from it, but not like up close.
You
get close enough that you're able to make out the general structure of the bones, and you recognize this as the skeleton of a badger. It has the husky texture to it, is clumps of long dried and dead, half rotted, but now dusty fur.
Oh, it's been a while.
One arm is extended forward over a book. That half of it is kind of destroyed, and there is like essentially a stain along the table of where the badger rotted into it.
Damn.
There also seems to be, you're looking around, you look, as someone who deals with a lot of death, you look around, there doesn't seem to be any sign of attack. There's no like spatter on the walls. There is a pot next to the dead badger that is empty.
Yeah, I think Grear kind of clocks this and just her first thought. I'll say that she's gonna mutter this to herself, so just for kind of the cinematicness of it, it's what a character would do if you want to know their thoughts. She just kind of look at the pot and look at this body and say, looks like foul play. Poison, perhaps. Can I... no, because I don't... Actually, is there a scent of decay in the air, or has it been long enough where that has dissipated?
You sniff with your delicate hair nose, and all you smell right now is coal.
So it's been a while. I think her ears just kind of twitch in, the way that one would, in the hair equivalent of furrowing eyebrows, as she just kind of surveys this, she'll just kind of look over this scene, because I don't think she's not really interested in what was the book, what happened here, because she is on a job, but she kind of takes this in, there was some foul play, there was some maybe politicking happening here, someone probably got assassinated via poison, but this isn't relevant to what she's doing right now, and it's been long enough where she doesn't need to be alarmed, there's a poisoner out there, someone might be out to get me if I'm here.
So what does Grear do? You're in a living room, there's a door, presumably to larger parts of this cavern.
She just kind
has
of
Grear ever been in a badger burrow?
Probably not in the house section of it. She has maybe been to this forge section before.
I'm going to say that Grear doesn't know the structure of badger burrows then.
She wouldn't really have a reason to know. But she's just gonna cast one more glance over this fellow and say, well, friend, I hope at least your spirit made it elsewhere. Even if your body stays to rot here. And she's gonna go for the door to see where she can go from there.
As you twist the knob and push the door, it makes a...
She definitely cringes at this.
It's very stiff. You kind of turn your lantern to the hinges of the door, and they are long rusted.
Oof, okay.
You have to actually lean your shoulder on the door to really move it, and you push. Eventually, something cracks in the hinge, and it kind of swings a bit, catching you off guard. You move your light through the next room, and it seems to be a mixture of, I'd say, sort of more general. If this is more like a study that you'd come into, then you're now looking more at a living room and a kitchen combined / entrance hall.
Okay.
So like the functional living space versus like the reading and study living space.
Yeah.
You can see there is a curving passage, what seems to be upwards. You aren't quite sure how far you've gone down, as you were in complete darkness. So there's a curving passage that goes upwards that has little hollows with carved statues of badgers and they're busts actually. And there's a doorway on the other side of the room that leads somewhere else. This room is, there's a kitchen, there's an Arga, there's a metal pipe on the Arga that leads towards the study room. Presumably it's some kind of long chimney.
So this, if I'm understanding right, these busts are somewhere in these hollows above. So this is a space that has a verticality to it, like underground.
Yes. In fact, I'm gonna draw another map.
Okay. That.
And I'm gonna move.
Very helpful, because I obviously
so
have a little.
Them.
Sometimes, yes, thank you. Sometimes I have some trouble with seeing the same thing as like someone describes. So
yeah,
drawings are always very helpful.
Not that the floor plan is important, but essentially you've got like this sort of say we'll have a study room here. The fireplace was here. There was like a table with the badger. Dead. And you've opened this door here, and it's gone into sort of a larger space. You can see that there's another door here. And there's like a curving passage that goes upwards here. Maybe there's like kitchen stuff, and you can see there's little hollows in the curving passage going upwards that have like decorative statues.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha. Like little alcoves.
Yeah, alcoves.
Cool. Well, this door here. Next to it, are there like, coats, boots, something indicative of this is the exit or an entrance to a house?
Yeah, there are. There's a coat rack built into the wall. There's hooks have been carved out of the stone, and there is a coat on one of them. There is a pinny, like an apron, on another. There's a small table on the other side of the door that has a bowl, and it's got tchotchkes in.
Is there? This is just for my own sheer curiosity. Out of the aggregated clothes, does it look like there's more than one person who lives here or had lived here?
You would presume yes. Oh, you know it because I was going to say the shoes, but
they can have some kind of like coverings for some parts of their paws.
I'm going to say what would they have?
Wraps?
Yeah. Let's say that oh no, digging claws. They have protective gloves.
Cool.
It's like the equivalent of their shoes, but they go on the front as opposed to the back because they don't dig with their back claws. Yeah, you can see that there's 3 or 4 sets, different sizes and styles of digging protective covers that cover like the pads of the paw. They're thickly woven, like treated fabric with like heavy saps that are then cured and dried, and they protect the pads of the paw while allowing the claws to dig.
So she looks at this set of gloves, which would indicate that there was more people. And once again, just to herself, she'll kind of mutter, thinking about the dead badger upstairs and maybe poisoning, and just say, family matters, perhaps. She's, once again, she didn't investigate, but...
What would Grear like to do?
Well, she will go to this entrance, and see if she can open it, because hopefully that'll get her to some kind of communal tunnel that might lead to a central tunnel that will get her upwards.
So there is a lock on the door, and you test it. The door was actually unlocked, so you lock it and then you unlock it with this sort of. It's slightly more oiled, but it's dusty to the touch. Not coal dust, not like from the fireplace, because it wouldn't have spread into this room. It's just a much finer layer of dust and a little bit of dirt as well. I just would like to say that a lot of this area is stone. It's not like it's hollows of earth. It seems to be like baked clay or like stone pillars and reinforcing struts and stuff like that.
Gotcha. So if it's been abandoned for a while, that dust will have had settled and there's no obvious signs like paw prints in the ground or anything.
Yeah, you don't see any tracks. So you open the door, and this again is a little bit like, and this one you have to pull instead of push. But it gives, and you're led into a wide corridor that has similar doors. It seems to be some kind of like neighborhood. There are other doors of different shapes and sizes, and each of the doors has beside it a kind of a carved-in hollow for mail, and a copper plate on it with an address number.
Out of sheer curiosity, if she looks back at the copper plate on the house she came out of, is there any name? Because there are some family of badgers that are a little bit more well-known than others. Is it just a name that she would have, like, you don't have to give me a name, is it just something recognizable or no?
You wouldn't recognize it. It's not It's not one of the badger families of Odoak, for example, who were the original, like,
big OGs.
Makers. Like, they call themselves the original burrow.
Oh, wow.
And that's what you know. Not saying whether you've been or seen. But you don't recognize any of the names. You definitely don't recognize the name of a guild like the Strong Arm Trading Company, who you know to be badgers. But it has a badger-sounding name. I think it's Waltfrolf.
Perfect. Yeah, she... her nostrils flare a little bit because it's weird spelling, but if it sounds badgerish, then so be it. Yeah, she was just kind of, I guess... Well, I was curious, and I was using her as my tool to satiate my curiosity. Well, now that she's out in this corridor, can she feel a draft from any direction?
No.
Curses. How about if she looks at the door, the plates? Are they numbered?
Yes. So you could use the numbers to lead you towards the entrance of this part of like a neighborhood.
Yes. So she will go like declining to get to number 1.
So you go declining, moving towards number 1, and it opens up into a larger chamber, which seems to have several different tunnels that come off of them. This larger chamber is domed, and the stone columns here go into the center of the ceiling, and then out in the spaces that aren't covered with these stone columns, there's a mosaic of colored tiles that depict vines and knotwork weaving together. They have blackberries on them, and at the very base of the walls there are mosaics of badgers picking blackberries. There are signs that direct you towards... one directs you towards what's called the Great Pantry, and another directs you towards the forges. Of the different places you could go to. So I'm going to say there's like all sorts of different ones, but those two stand out to you like, they could be somewhere.
Okay. Well, my thoughts here are, if this is a very, like a significantly abandoned portion of the town, the old pantry well could have been what the tree used to be. But I'm also thinking the forges, I did see smoke coming up from closer to the tree, right?
Yeah.
So the forges could also be, like, maybe there's still a functional part. So that might be the direction that I want to take. And I think that's more of a sure kind of guess than my theory of what could have once been, the use of this tree. So I think she'll clock the sign for forges, and choose that path. And will she be like, if she's going to be going into a kind of straightforward tunnel, she would actually shield her lamp entirely and just follow the wall with her hand. But I don't know if that's possible. But she's just kind of going for max stealth.
So you tend to follow the passage until you get to like a space where it breaks into a larger corridor, and then you look for directions and you keep following the directions. I'm going to say make a cunning roll for me. If you want to go as stealthily as possible, it's going to be at disadvantage. And this is to see how well you are at navigating in darkness.
Well, I suppose, because if it's not possible to kind of take that very straightforward route, she wouldn't navigate in darkness, because she's more interested in making, in getting past here in a timely manner. She's not going to dawdle, or... So yeah, if it's just not possible to follow a straight corridor down, she won't be doing it in the darkness.
The tunnels actually seem to twist and turn, go up and down. I'd say just make a straight cunning roll to navigate, because you probably want to have your lantern on. They don't have a natural, straightforward progression to them.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say the fact that there was like this whole central dome and a mosaic, some kind of badger city here, and the fact that it just lays completely abandoned for a very long time is so suspicious and fascinating. But I'm on a mission, and I don't get to dungeon dive. I have to find some rats. But it is very interesting about what might have happened there. Okay, straight roll. Please be good to me. At least it's not a 1, I guess.
You are following the path as best you can. You're not quite sure how much time has passed because you can't see the sun. And you walk until you reach a large wooden door. It's closed. It's double-sided, like it's a large, almost like a gate door. And as you've been walking, you've been passing through other domes with similar like styles of mosaic. I say similar styles, similar sizes of mosaic. The styles change as if different artists had worked on them. But some of them are like one of them's a field with birds flying overhead and badgers in the grass. Another is it's all books, a mosaic of books with badgers reading at lecterns, with like candlelight. But you get to this large wooden door, and it's the way that you need to go, but you aren't quite sure. It's up to Grear what they would do.
Well, if
to specify at this point, you haven't encountered a barricade to moving through these streets as you might imagine them.
If I check the hinges, are they also rusted?
Yes.
So probably not in much use, but if she's gonna open this door, it's gonna make a big ol' racket. Can she use a little bit of her lamp oil to try, or some of her some of the alchemical tools she has for preservation, like if there's like oil that you spread on leather to kind of preserve it, just
I'd say
safe.
Yeah. I'd say you could use just some lamp oil, like that would be fine. Or like you have some kind of oil or wet thing that you can use to grease the hinges. So you grease the hinges of one of the doors, and then you kind of try to open it.
Yeah.
So you pull on the door, and that doesn't seem to do much. So you push on the door, and it moves slightly. And it goes... It's not as loud, but then it stops, maybe a paw's width forward. And you move your lantern, and you see that there seems to be some kind of large bundle of thorns wrapped around and around and around and around. You're not quite sure what, but you only see like the strands of it, if that makes sense. But it seems to be blocking the door from opening.
Oh man. Like at that, her first thought is, all right, so this is a door to keep something in. She How thick do these brambles seem?
They seem very dry, like they're dead. They're not living. And there's maybe like 10 of them. If you got out one of your knives, you could hack through it.
Yeah. I think she's going, like, actually, if she's opened the door a little bit, she let that light in. Can she strain to listen if there's anything on the other side or in this chamber beyond?
Make a cunning roll.
Can I use my
and you can use your keenness, yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I'll take that 4, please.
Yeah, take the 4 because you don't want the 1. You strain. There's this. Have you hacked the thorns, or you? This is before.
This is before she starts hacking.
Yeah. So you strain to listen, kind of putting one whole ear into the gap almost.
Yes.
And you hold your breath. And there's no wind. There's no sound, apart from your own breath and beating heart. It is very now eerily silent down here.
Don't like that, but it seems like the only... Is there any, like, smell of fire or anything that I can catch a whiff of?
You sniff, but you're just getting that persistent dust. You've rubbed enough of the coal away that you're not just smelling the coal that's on you, but you don't necessarily smell anything down here either. It feels very sterile.
Okay. Given the amount of time that I've been traveling, like, would I still be anywhere in the vicinity of Holdall, or have I feel like I've walked 1 billion miles away?
Would say, well, you don't know how long you've walked for. You don't think you might have walked too far away from Holdall.
Okay. And I guess there's also the actual tree to consider as part of that, kind of the circumference of the tree. Okay. Well, if there's nothing that she can hear, she will take out.
We'll say for Grear's sake, because these tunnels twist and turn over themselves. There have been occasional tree roots that you've seen.
Okay.
That you would presume to be the Holdall tree, the Great Holdall tree. Because if there had been lots of smaller roots, then it might not have been the tree itself, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that's
as a
helpful.
key to you and to Grear, like you're going towards Holdall, don't worry.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. All right, so she's ascertaining that there doesn't seem to be anything in the room immediately there with her. She's going to take out a knife and start kind of like not hacking, just kind of sawing through. As best she can.
You take out one of your curved knives and start to...
Actually, she might even take, just with the, because when you have some tanning, like a tanning knife, there's one particular one that looks a little bit like, I'm kind of going to draw it.
Like it has a bit of a saw attachment.
It's more so there's like, the blade is like this, and then you have handles on both sides. And it is used for, kind of like, I'm assuming
like
getting like
knife.
Swaths of... Yeah, because you can probably separate muscle from skin more easily. Like if you can kind of just kind of slide
I'm actually going to
off
say
like
you
that.
probably have one of those, but it is a saw, and that's for sawing through bone. So you have a bone saw. So you take out the bone saw and you start...
Yeah.
And they're very dry. There's almost like they crumble to dust as you start to... And they... And then they all... And it opens. The door swings open, And you pause. There's a faint... Did you hear that?
Like a bonk?
I was kind of making like a...
Oh no, unfortunately you said there's a feint and then there was silence and I think
I was looking at the microphone levels and I was like, there's no sound coming through. There's like a...
Yeah.
And a faint rumbling in the ground. What do you do?
Is it in... I think, kind of looking around this room very quickly, is there any, like... Can I dune this? Is there any furniture I can jump on so I'm not, like, picking up anyone's top senses if I'm on the ground? Is there any
No,
furniture
you're just in an
this
open passage.
Okay,
and the vibrating seems to be coming from around you and the door.
Oh, well, I think she's going to, as gently as she can, kind of get away from the door.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, this passage, is it just like a long corridor forward?
We'd say yes for this. Do you move forward or backwards? Do you move through the door or back away from the door?
Oh, I thought I'm already across the door.
You've opened the door.
Yeah, so, no, she's going to squeeze through the door. And, I think, honestly... unless there's any, like, with her lamp, unless there's any obvious, like, hole in the ground, she's just gonna, once again, go for speed, kind of try to squeeze through and, just, go
So I'm
on
gonna
all
say I
fours.
need you to make, because you're going for speed, I want you to make a vigor roll for me.
Alright. Let me see if there's anything that I can, Can I tag unflinching for this? As in, like, I concentrate... I make the decision of, you know, I'm not gonna dawdle and see what it is. I'm concentrating...
You're just gonna go.
Yeah, just like this hyper
I would say you
focus.
get advantage, yes.
Thank you. There we go.
So you manage to... You actually have to roll. You leap forward, but in the end have to roll to avoid it. Both sides of the wall fall forward to where the door opened. So they, like bricks, crumble from the smooth, otherwise innocuous walls into where the door would have opened. And so if someone had opened it from the other side, as in, so this not your side, as in, okay, so I'll draw a diagram.
Well, basically, if they tried to, like, pull... Because I had to push the door, so if they pulled the door, the walls would, like, fall on them?
Yes.
Whoa.
So you've rolled through to here. This is where, like, that bundle of thorns was. You've gone this way. The walls fall in this way. You managed to roll out in time,
the
but
walls
several
on the side,
tons of...
Yeah,
several tons of stone fall through from false walls, and you see that the wall is actually, it's been carved specifically larger, and then stones have been placed there and then hidden. The stones fall in, and they are solid blocks of thick carved stone. They all down in front of the door, and there's kind of like that kind of echoes down the tunnel of the stone crashing down.
I imagine her ears kind of go from facing front to facing back as she follows the echoes that reverberate down the tunnel. And I think this definitely asserts the idea of, like, someone's, like, you're not supposed to go in there. Because I think, initially she thought that something's being kept in, but now it seems everyone else is being kept out. Which is intriguing. Well, I imagine in this moment, as she kind of rolled through and made a run for it, her nostrils are like doing that bunny flare, just kind of going a little crazy as she's trying to take in a deep breath and just kind of swallow down that adrenaline of what had just happened. And if she looks around from that crumbling wall to where she was, the other, like, where she had been continuing,
Yeah.
just kind of down this
So
corridor.
the
What does she
directions,
see?
there are like, there's maybe some copper plate directions. You see that the doors actually have a copper plate in two parts. So you're able to kind of like tilt your head to see the door that's open slightly and now kind of half buried under stone, and the other door is still closed. But it says, welcome to Blackberry Tunnels. But it's in nice copper plate font. It seems welcoming.
Yeah.
Like a welcome to Scotland
Yeah.
kind of vibe.
This gives me slight like Fallout vibes. Like you're exploring a bunker and it's just like, welcome to the loveliest place on earth, and just like a corpse falls on you. You know? Oh
That
man.
is something that I would say is also, as you're realizing, you're like, there seems to be some kind of community, and I haven't seen any dead bodies in the streets.
Maybe
Like,
they're
you
all in
haven't
the
passed
houses.
anything. You haven't seen tracks.
Yeah.
You haven't gone into any other houses.
I
But
haven't.
you're-
Yeah, because unfortunately, she's a little too focused on the job to do any
But
exploring, which
the
I'm sorry
signs
about.
point towards the forges, which is your direction. So I assume you continue forwards.
Yes, she continues where the
So you creep cautiously forwards, and through several more tunnels, you reach the first of several smaller forges. These are badger forges because you've seen them before in Odok and maybe some other towns that you've passed through. They are cold. There is no coal stacked in the furnaces. The anvils have all actually been placed together. And they are covered with oiled cloth. Like wrapped around them. Oiled beeswax cloth.
preserved.
You might think.
Maybe preserves from rusting. Maybe.
You think. Maybe.
Yeah, well, I'll say that's what she assumes, because that's what I assume, and she's as smart as I am, and unfortunately for her. Yeah. Okay, so I think seeing this, her thought is Exodus. They moved out because of something, maybe. Interesting. Okay, well... Are these... So if I see many of these smaller forges, is this kind of like an open area with these, like, alcoves of forges, essentially? Like, there would normally be 20 badgers in here, and, 12 of them are working on their projects, and 8 are, like, helping out.
And there's,
stuff.
like, some other workbenches that have tools, very neatly organized to seem for different purposes. There are... The halls, as you get towards larger workspaces, are getting larger and larger, as if accommodating even bigger creatures to come through.
Okay, at this... Oh, she don't like that, because badgers are on kind of the top end of size of, like, the omnivore creatures that she's okay with.
So,
and,
So, you say bigger creatures, it could also be, like, bigger things. Sort of like going from, like, an alleyway to, like,
parts.
a street, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay, I thought it's like, hey, here's a, a hole for, like, a wolf or, like, a fox.
Well, a wolf or a fox could come through, but it's not like it's a wolf-shaped hole. Like, here's wolves.
Yeah, just like the ears and...
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
gotcha.
what I'm implying is you're getting towards the bigger forges.
Righto.
Yeah.
And looking around here, is this place in a similar level of abandonment?
Yes.
So dust, there's no tracks of anything moving
No
through,
tracks.
nothing like that. Okay. Well, that's good, I guess.
I want you to make a cunning roll to represent how sensitive you are to your surroundings.
Okay. Oof. Scared. Oh!
You feel too late as your foot brushes something tense and taut.
Oh,
And then
what? This place is trapped!
And you hear a whoosh, whoosh, whoosh of something
Are you
brushing.
kidding me?
You have a split second. What would Grear do, knowing that you've tripped a tripwire, but not knowing what the trap is?
Whooshing. I think she. Can I just ask the environment around me right now? Is it a corridor? Am I around the forges? Like, what is
Let's
right
say
around me?
you're passing through one of the short corridors towards another forge. So like the forges are in domes, and then you're kind of passing from one dome to another.
She is going to combat roll towards one of the forge alcoves, and if there is there like an anvil in there that's covered up?
Yeah, let's say there is.
She would basically try to make a dive like for it to get behind it.
Okay. Let's say make a vigor roll.
Can she make this leap using her mighty back legs to kind of give her just like a sudden boost of speed
I'll let
and
you have
strength
advantage.
Thank you. I'll take that 5.
You roll a 5 and a 2, so yeah, take that 5. You roll, and that's the right instinct. You see, you turn your lantern after you hear a great and you look at where your ears would have been, which might have been the head of a badger, and you see that several spears of iron have just out of the walls of this tunnel.
What the hell is happening here? Oh my god, I think she, yeah.
It would have been too high to do serious damage to you. Which is something you note.
But still, like, what the hell? I think her ears kind of pressed to the back of her head, as she makes that realization that, you know, they could have been at least torn a little bit if she was in a bad place. And I think she's just, like, at this point, not just her ears furrow, but her brows as well. So you know she's emoting hard if her brows are going.
And again, like the sound of the metal, like a goes around like the forge spaces. But otherwise there's silence, and then there's the of like stones falling down from like where the spears have shot out of the wall.
Well, she's at this, I think she's like annoyed almost, because someone had a lot of time on their hands. Like, get out of here with this nonsense. Well, so I tripped on a tripwire. And it was kind of for the size of something badger-like. So proceeding onwards, can she kind of actually she might walk in like the corner of the tunnel, as light-footed as she can, just to like try to avoid any, if there's like a, you know, a stone
pressure
on the
plate.
Ground. Yeah, like a pressure plate.
Yeah.
That would be
so now you're
something
actively looking out for like hazards and traps. Are we gonna make another cunning roll to see how well you are at spotting any other hazards?
No. Let me see.
Or vigor, cunning or vigor, but they're all d8s to be honest.
Yeah, they're all d8s for me. I'm just looking if there's
Yeah.
anything that I can kind of exercise here out of my skills. Contempt for complacency. Her own complacency. No, let's see here real quick. I'm wondering if I can... No, I was thinking if I can kind of reverse engineer tracking beasts to like a, you know, if a badger was walking, what would be the places that they would step on, but that doesn't really make sense.
Well, no. Getting into the mind of the person you're trying to track down, you're kind of you're kind of having that theory of mind, thinking, if I were a badger, where would I put a trap? So I'd say, yeah, I'd let you have that.
Like 4 other badgers, because I think she'd infer from the placement of the spears. This is some kind of badger warfare.
Yeah.
In between badger warfare, maybe some kind of family feud, like between families. They're placing these booby traps. They don't want the badgers to find something, like maybe the rival badgers or something like that. So she's going to try to consider badger-sized traps pressure plates, things to look out for.
Yeah.
So if I
so
can
make a
indeed
cunning
tag
roll with
that,
advantage.
thank you. I'll take
Hijinks
the
or
2.
a complication.
I'll take the complication. I don't want the hijinks, please.
Complication, you barely managed to pull it off, but not without consequence. Narrator describes how the situation becomes more complicated. I'm gonna let you choose the outcome. Do you lose something, or do you get hurt?
Ooh. I don't get to choose what I lose.
No. But I just think it's more interesting to throw
It
it into your
is.
court.
I think she would lose something.
Okay.
Because her notion of, like, to her, kind of preserving herself is more important than her things. Things can be replaced. Her health immediately cannot. So I'll choose for an item to be lost, and I'm very, very nervous.
You are moving down the corridor, and it's a slight overconfidence that makes you think you've avoided all of the traps, when at the last moment you trigger some kind of like Rugorberg machine where you trip one thing and it trips another thing and it trips another thing, and as your eyes are following, you realize that it's going to send a massive bowl of something tumbling down to smash onto the ground
Indiana
where you need to
Jones!
walk. And so you grab the rope from your pack and just like lasso the thing. And you realize that your rope is long enough that you're able to stop the trail of this ball from like knocking this thing. But if you remove the rope, if you like undo the lasso, then you'll have it drop. So
Yeah,
you're
so
just
I
gonna
have
have
to
to tie your
behind.
rope, and you just leave your rope behind to stop the trap from falling and doing something.
Yeah, okay. Oh, man.
You have removed rope
I need
from
to
your
climb a
inventory.
tree! Oh, but that's a fair thing. And thank you for, rather than it being like a, whoa, I trip and lose all my stuff, it being like,
Yeah.
haha, you're still like an Indiana Jones, but
Well, yeah,
you gotta leave your rope
like
behind.
Grear is a very what's the word?
She's not Balthazar.
Competent.
Oh, yeah.
She's competent. She'd be able to avoid a
that's-
trap.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so she,
I would say with that, that's the kind of last thing, and you're able to navigate the kind of the maze of these different forges, which seem to be for different purposes, until you get to the largest of the forges, and you notice in the tracks, or you notice in the dust, there are tracks here.
what kind of tracks?
You look down and investigate. There seem to be small, maybe they're 3 and 4 toed, different sizes. Maybe rats or voles, maybe hedgehogs, or a bird. Yeah, there's definitely a
bird. Oh,
and they
that
seem
would
to
be
be
very
different.
distinct.
They seem to be different ages. They seem to move along a similar sort of path. Some are slightly dusty than others. Some seem to be fresh, but you don't know how fresh because it's dust. And they lead towards like a little alcove.
Okay. Where do they lead from? Because they lead to an alcove, so that's where all of these tracks went to. Where are they coming from?
They lead down one of the side tunnels, away from what you presume to be the main entrance that would lead to Odog.
Ah, okay. So you say bird track. So there's a variety of tracks, including
A
birds.
variety of different animal tracks. Yeah.
How big are the bird feet?
Small, maybe like a songbird.
Small. Okay. Well, and they seem to go to an alcove. So the alcove itself being like the exit or something is. Sorry, am I
so
understanding
you kind
this
of
right?
you follow the alcove along. It's one of the blacksmithing alcoves, and as you swing your lantern over, you notice that in the alcove, all of the tools are missing. There's a hammer dropped on the floor, but all of the neatly organized tools are missing.
Okay, and so the tracks came here. Somebody picked up the tools, and like, do they then back
And they back towards another passage that goes away from the main entrance. Essentially, it seems to signify that they have some other way of getting into these tunnels.
So I would like to, because I don't think I have a very good picture of like what seems to be the exit and what seems to be the entrance, but I would like to follow the tracks that indicate like they're leaving from here.
Yeah. So like, I'm just drawing a really bad picture. But basically, let's say there's like a big old entrance which might be towards Odok, you think, that goes towards Odok, that's up here. There's an alcove where a bunch of tools have been taken, and then there's maybe like smaller tunnels that you've been navigating through to get to this big entrance, this main forge area. But the tracks lead off another way that maybe leads somewhere, you're not quite sure. But there's like a big entrance.
And where do they come from? Do they come from the big entrance?
They don't come from the big entrance. They are this little dotted track. They kind of they both come from and go to. Yeah.
Okay. So if I
and you've come this way.
Yeah, I would like to just check out this entrance. I'm presuming it's locked.
You go to the main entrance. Yeah. It has a massive wooden bar on this side of the door.
Oh. If I put my ear to the door, do I hear anything on the other side?
Make a cunning roll. And I'm gonna say a straight roll because with your strong ears, it would be a neutral.
It would be
there's a disadvantage.
Yeah. Gotcha. I succeed at listening.
You hear very faintly a slight
like a sleeping cat or something? Have I actually, does this sound familiar to any of the marks that if I have stocked things?
You've once helped your old master stalk a wild cat. That's the... And it raises your hackles, something primal inside of you. That's an animal in distress. You're not sure if it's a wild cat. But it's
it's in
very
distress.
faint. Well, you don't know if it's like... what's going on. It's just the cry of a wild cat, but you don't know what it means.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
It's a yowl.
On the one... Yeah, I mean, like, look, I have my predator prejudice and everything, but I'm not gonna break down this door to go kill a cat right now. I think, yeah, it does make her hair kind of stand on end, and, she, has that very gut, like, flight or fight response, and it's always turned to fight, because it's Grear. But, like, this door is barred, she doesn't have a reason to go Shadow of the Colossus, this creature. So, but this is also very definitive, like, yeah, I should not be going down these doors. I see why all these little beasts, have been going in through some alternative means, because it seems that there is something that makes its home here. So I think she will kind of peel herself away from the door, take a few cautious steps backwards, still kind of looking at the door, almost to make sure, like, okay, it can't be pushed down, or, stuff like that. Like, it's there, it's behind that door, the door is barred. All right. And she is then going to return to this series of tracks, paw prints, and will, as quietly as she can, follow them to this other tunnel, hoping to find a route out. So you follow them
through a smaller tunnel, into another forge space, and then as you're looking around, a lot of the forge workbenches here have also had their tools taken, and there are more tracks around the space, and then you follow this larger amount of tracks, this heavier footfall, until you reach a small dug alcove in one of the walls. The walls of these tunnels are very smooth and purposeful and occasionally have like directions, but here it's very clear that something has dug into this tunnel, and there is a rocky alcove, a fissure that has been expanded into the wall. There's even rubble on the ground, and you can see the claw marks in the wall, and the broken end of one shovel. Abandoned.
How recent does this seem?
You're not sure. It's all stonework. It's not something you're familiar with.
Well, the shovel, I mean. Like, is it covered
you touch
in
the shovel
dust?
and it's cold. It hasn't been held recently.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, if it's covered in dust.
Oh, the shovel is not
The
shovel is not covered in dust.
Okay, yeah, I was sorry. I should have worded it
Yeah.
or more clearly, because I was thinking like specifically about the tools and stuff. Is the tunnel? Does it seem to be arcing up?
It seems lateral, but it goes to
Okay.
somewhere outside of these badger tunnels, you'd presume.
The decisions, because I don't know where this will take me. This might take me away from the more direct route of Holdall, because what if the way to get in is through the cat, or the whatever is on the I'll just call it a cat for now. What if it's through the cat? Well, she'll, out of these two kind of lesser evils, or she'll kind of go for the lesser evil for now. She might backtrack if it doesn't seem good. She's going to continue down the small tunnel to see if it starts maybe going up. No, she'll continue down the tunnel.
The dug tunnel?
Yeah, the dug tunnel with the shovel next to it and stuff.
It is a very tight squeeze, and there are points where you have to kind of turn your body into different shapes, like a C or an S, where you have to move head first and then squat one shoulder through and then pull a leg. It's clear the creatures that were coming into the space were a little smaller than you, but not too small.
They're tiny bastards. Like me. I'm the big bastard.
And you eventually emerge behind a stone-carved pillar into a worked tunnel. The architecture here is different. The stone floor is cobble, not smooth. And the air is warmer. As you were moving through the tunnel, the scrabble of rock and the close confined space was too loud to hear, but now you hear the yowling, but it echoes around these tunnels, and you hear it further down.
Oh no!
You seem to have emerged from these badger tunnels. I'm gonna move these down.
Okay. Oh, the tunnels. I'm gonna. Oh! You just separated her ears. This is what would have happened if she rolled a hijinks on that save.
You have emerged, we will say, you think, somewhere over here.
I'm gonna delete this gear, so. Oh, okay. I see.
Now, this is just to illustrate what you think.
Yeah, the general. Yeah, okay. Yeah, gotcha. The idea that I get.
There is yowling coming from this direction. There is then sort of a slightly larger space here and another tunnel, and you can see that there's a curving tunnel that goes upwards this way.
Sorry, can you remind me what this, what was this? The Y?
For yowling.
There's the yowl. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, yes.
You step out into this larger space from behind this pillar, which is disguising this crevice, and it's actually quite ingenious. The crevice is quite small, and the lip of it is more forward, like one of them is more forward, so it looks just like a slight crack in the stone, but when you shine a light down it, it's very clearly like a worked tunnel. You look, there are 3 pillars, and into each pillar there's a slight alcove with a badger's bust that's been made out of clay and baked, and there is a mural of just badgers badgers standing in front of badgers, standing in front of badgers, and painted into the mural, not copperplate, but just painted in yellow and sort of golden tones, is in large letters. It says, "For you, the cubs of our cubs, we dig with grace into the deepest barrow." And it seems to be, it's a kind of a painted mural.
Yeah. That's a very lovely sentiment, but...
And there's a date on it,
really wrong here.
to about 20 years ago. We haven't established how dates work, but this mural's about 20 years old.
We know. 20 seasons, or not seasons, 20 cycles, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, something's changed. She doesn't know. She doesn't know what really happened. But I think... But it's interesting that it's all trapped. Would a wild cat be approximately the size of a badger?
Yes, maybe a bit larger or a bit smaller, depending on the cat. I think.
Yeah.
Because a wild cat is the size of a Norwegian forest cat, if a bit bigger and
pretty
more muscular.
Chunky. Yeah.
So I think, and they're also good at taking on prey that are bigger themselves. I think a forest cat could take on a badger.
Yeah.
They'd be of a similar size category. So you've looked around, you've looked at this mural, you've heard this yowling. You hear the yowling turn into a hiss, and there's more yowling, and it's echoing down this corridor.
Down the corridor where the yowling direction is. Yeah. I mean, she's on a job, because I'm fascinated. I kind of want to know what's up, but this is potentially a danger that she would be putting herself into for no reason other than maybe to have some kind of sick fight. I think she's just going to... Can she hear anything else except from the yowling, or does it just seem to be the one creature? Basically, she wants to ascertain if there's another creature in there with this yowler.
Would have to get... It's quite far. You'd have to get closer to be able to determine that.
Yeah,
it's the echoing of a high-pitched yowl, so...
No, I don't... Gosh. I think
How long do you wait?
No, this is all... this is me being indecisive. I think she emerges, she sees this mosaic, she realizes the distances here, that this thing is over here, and she's going to stealthily move up. Can she see footsteps in the dust?
Well, there's no dust here.
Are there any so there's no trail of anything that's immediate or obvious?
Not necessarily. I'm gonna say actually you if you were to kind of move in this direction, there's no trail, but now that you're kind of looking out for it, you do notice that a basket has been dropped with some fish in it near this tunnel. We'll say this is a network of tunnels that seem to be underneath Odoak. This one leads up, and you can hear slightly more hubbub, the echoes of people from this general area. It's as you're going up towards what could be presumed to be the surface.
This basket is in a place where a larger creature wouldn't be able to get to it?
No. All of the tunnels here are quite large. Any size of... badgers could get through here easily. Several badgers. And the basket seems to have been, dropped. It's kind of some of the fish are spilling out.
Yeah. She's going to kind of sidestep the basket. She's not going to interact with it because that's unnecessary noise. And I think make her way up to cautiously to where she can hear the hubbub.
As you move out of these sort of tunnels, you can either go up towards the hubbub. You hear one final, much louder yowl that cuts off midway, and you move out of the tunnels. So we're going to say that's the end of that scene of Under Stone and Into Death's Domain. We will continue another scene, but at the end of the scene you have a little review, and I think we're going to give a nice bit of, hopefully, an advantage. I'm going to say you're going to get an advantage for whichever bearing Grear takes on, but... so
we're not doing... Sorry.
Well, essentially, we are doing bearings. Sorry, what was your question?
Because advantage... Are we not doing the, like, I get to pass versus I get to make someone fail?
Well, we're going to do that, but as opposed to waiting for you to reinforce, I'm just going to say you get that advantage immediately.
Oh, I see, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
I thought by advantage you mean literally the mechanic of advantage, like I get to roll twice, and I'm just like, oh.
No. Like,
sorry,
I'm just going to give
getting...
it to you immediately, as opposed to waiting for you to reinforce. So, the scene fortune that you had was Understone and Into Death's Domain. The passion was discipline.
Oh.
So, discipline is the balance of... Let me just find the thing. I'm in the wrong Google Docs. It's the balance of, I think... I'm not going to remember off the top of my head. I'm just going to find the thing. I should have had this document open, but I didn't. Thank you to our sponsors Roll20, who shout out the silence when I can't find the thing. Discipline is the virtue of gluttony and dignity. Gluttony being appease, compete, exceed, excite, feed, fulfill, gratify, indulge. Dignity being balance, control, even, level-headed, resilient, resolute, and steady. So I think that Grear acted mostly with dignity throughout these tunnels, this old badger den that's been sealed off for some reason. Because you were very controlled, you didn't investigate unnecessarily. Even moving and talking with the squirrel overhead, you were very much like, okay, I'm just going to do my own thing. And you didn't ever try to, like, indulge curiosity.
Even though, me as a player, I'm dying. I'm dying to
trying
know.
so much.
But I feel there would be so much, like, digression for her that she just wouldn't, she wouldn't indulge in that because she's here to do something. She already feels like she, the uncertainty of the tunnels, she wasn't sure where she is, how far away she is. She would not want to divert from her focus because it just feels like she could get into more trouble.
Yeah. I think that would mean that you are virtuous.
Yeah.
Which
Even though
means...
we were, I think initially when we were talking, we were quite convinced that a character like this would be getting the vice, like, I do what I want, but she's
virtue is about taking a step back, acknowledging your surroundings, and using informed decisions to, or using that information to inform your decisions, and having that distance from passion and in the moment to get the overall larger, greater goal finished. So... yeah, I'm going to give you a virtue point. You can use that to cause another creature's roll to automatically fail, or another creature's roll to automatically succeed.
Yeah. Like, I don't have any friends.
Well, it could be any creature, I would guess.
Yeah. But if I have a NPC follower who has to push a lever, I can make sure they do that. Oh, all right. So do we want to move into the next section?
So we could play for another half hour. I'd be comfortable with that. How are your energy levels?
Good, I think, still.
Why don't we do another fortune, set up the scene, and then we can sort of then pick it up from next week.
Yeah, and see if there's any cool cliffhanger that we can kind of end on. All right.
So you emerge from, like, these tunnels that start to move upwards, and you start seeing wooden signage for oud oak, and they're hand painted, and they seem to be in different sizes. Some for larger creatures, some for smaller creatures at different heights. Not oud oak. I keep saying oud oak. Holdall.
Okay, Holdall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
you've travelled over 50 kilometers.
Yeah. Shoot. Like I really am
Whoops.
tireless. I didn't even notice. It's been like 48 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you emerge up to higher up forges that are smoking. There doesn't seem to be many people about. You actually emerge from one of the tunnels, and there's a rat leaning on a large spear. This is not a regular spear. It's a two-handed boar hunting spear with a large, broad spike at one end, and then a large hook coming off of the other. The hook is bladed, and the idea is that it's for harrying and cutting the hamstrings of boars as part of a larger armed force.
I mean, she probably
so you see this rat
patented
leaning
that technique.
or helps maybe for it. You are looking at this spear. You recognize it as a boar hunting spear. The rat leaning on it is is wearing metal armor with non-specific uniform. It seems to be, you don't know where this rat's come from. It's leaning on this spear quite casually. It sees you or hears you coming up the tunnel, it seems. It seems to be expecting someone, looks, and then gives you like a double take. And it goes, "Who are you?" And it just kind of stops and gives you like some strange side eye, like it was not expecting a hair to come out of that tunnel.
Yeah. She totally takes this in her stride. Also, actually, very quickly, this rat does not match the looks. Yeah, just making every rat I see, I'm gonna ask. When they ask, like, who are you? She super takes this in her stride, and she's kind of patting off, like, whatever dust she had when she had to crawl through some of those tighter tunnels.
Yeah.
And she just says, my name is Grear. I'm searching for someone.
The
just
rat?
Super casual. like it's not weird that she's here.
I'm gonna say make a willpower roll to see if you can just casually bull rush this conversation to like the tone that you want.
Can I tag my unflinching for this? Like, I'm not surprised by this. I'm kind of enforcing,
I'd totally let you tag unflinching.
Hey dog, we're cool, man.
Complication and a success. So I think it's just like, it's that unflinching nature. The rat goes, "Oh, who are you looking for? Have you seen Reg? Or since?"
No, can't say I have. I'm actually looking. Yeah, sorry. I'm looking for a crow walnut. I was told that they live here in Holdall.
He gives you a bit of a slight side eye, and he says, "I don't know a walnut."
Well, that's a shame. Do you know how I can get up to the Yellow Band Club from here?
Ow! And he sort of brightens a little bit as he recognizes the name. He goes, "Oh, yeah, you want to go that way out," and he kind of points towards the exit of this larger forge space with these sort of smoldering forges. And he says, "And you want to go left of the and he gives you some directions, basically. I can't make them up on the spot.
Yeah,
he gives you some directions, but he says you don't want to go out the front unless you like large crowds." And he gives a little chuckle.
She very casually says, well, can't say I do. So, if not out front, what exit would you recommend?
He kind of says that you can go towards the main entrance, but then make your way onto the stairs that go up Holdall without going past the main entrance.
So I'm presumably in the tree.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
He kind of assumes that you know that you're in Holdall, and then he has a slight pause where he doesn't quite. He's like, "Wait, what do you mean?" Anyway, yeah, just go up the stairs. There you go. You'll be fine.
Like, when he does, like, "What do you mean?" she kind of looks at him just like, "Well, what are you talking about?" You know, just that, like, squint of the eyes, like, what are you, like, what's going on? What's going on here? Do you have a problem? Do you have a problem? You know, like, do you have memory problems? Low-key gaslighting this poor rat.
A little bit.
A little bit,
but you don't know. You
doing
don't
it
know what this rat's been up
maliciously.
to.
Yeah, well, I mean, regardless, he shouldn't gaslight nobody. But she, it's just like, you know, she's not gonna be like, oh no, I've traveled here far. Like, yeah, she's here. She's not ruining his day. Hopefully. Yeah, she just kind of nods at the directions, and says, yeah, she's gonna say, well, thank you for the directions. Carry on then. And just walks in the direction that he inclined to, and to not go outside.
Okay, so you're walking these directions. You have 3 fortunes to pick from. So your fortunes are, I'm going to type them into the Roll20 chat as well. They are rise up, punch down, or caught in the middle.
Rise up, punch down, caught in the middle. Ah. I have to say, punch down and caught in the middle are intriguing. But I think caught in the middle is the most, like, interesting. Like if I saw a chapter title that was called Caught in the Middle, yeah, I'm excited what that means. So I think that's the one that I will go for. Whatever that might mean for poor Grear. But I think it's the most I'm very interested what that could mean.
You are walking towards like the directions you've been given to get towards the Great Staircase or the Grand Staircase, as the rat put it, and the sounds of many beasts that hubbub of that crowd is getting louder and louder, and you make your way out of the forge space, up through the base of the tree, to the staircase itself, which is this massive, wide wooden staircase, wide enough that several large creatures could walk in groups alongside the inside and outside of it, without bumping into each other. It's a large thoroughfare.
Yeah,
a staircase that very slowly curves and slopes up. And then along the staircase are flats, doors into, say, shops or houses that go into the thicker parts of the tree. There's also a column inside where birds can fly up and down it. Smaller birds.
Oh, wonderful.
But you're walking up this larger staircase, and you walk onto this grand staircase from a smaller passage that would have led into the forges. And as you look back, there's a sign that says "To the Badger Forges," and there are beasts everywhere, crowding. You seem to be above the main majority of the beasts, because the staircase goes down into a large central open market space, and the large archway is carved into the tree that seems to be the large entrance to this market space. A little bit of daylight filters down from where the branches separate out at the top of the tree, sort of like a skylight down. But there are also occasionally, I wouldn't say like mirrors, but like carved holes in the tree that allow light to come into the grand staircase. You look down and over, and you see that there are beasts of all shapes and sizes. Well, not all sizes. Mostly prey. And they are in a throng. There seems to be some kind of speaker who's yelling down at them from atop a market stall. Many of the beasts are passionately and angrily yelling. Some of them are chanting. It is loud. It seems to be some
she does
kind
not
of
like that.
protest or riot.
Oh, is there, can I spot any, like, signs or something like that can tell me?
It doesn't seem as organized to have had signs.
Okay.
You smell very strongly coming from the outside of the tree, the smell of what is not familiar, but you know it, is the smell of charring fur and flesh.
Oh, shit. What is happening here? Well, her nose, like, definitely crinkles, is that the word? Not the word,
Yeah,
but
wrinkles.
wrinkle. Oh, I said crinkles. Her
I
nose.
mean, it's the same.
It's a candy wrapper. Her nose kind of wrinkles at that the smell. Because like she probably would have known it from the borwer specifically, because maybe they used fire to get them out. But generally, the smell of meat, because the smell of burning meat would be quite distinct and different from like fresh meat if you're tanning something. And I think it's a scent that is like repulsive because it's like, oh, you're cooking animals, but you're gonna eat them. I think it's a very taboo smell for animals, especially for prey animals. So yeah, her nose kind of wrinkles up, and she's looking down at this chaos in this marketplace. As she's gonna be making her way up the stairs, kind of. She's not gonna be running because there's people on the stairs as well, correct?
Yes.
Or beasts.
They all seem to be crowded round the banister, like the wall banister, looking down at the crowd below.
Okay.
You're looking and you see all different sorts of beasts. You see mice and rats and voles. You see squirrels. You see hedgehogs. Some of them are families. Some of them like young teenagers and adults. You see an otter with a couple of her pups in her arms, and she's kind of been looking over the ledge concernedly, and then she backs away and says something to her, presumably her partner, her wife, and then she sort of like quickly starts to not scurry but walk briskly up the staircase.
Can I?
But there's lots of imagine like there's like, you know how people watch a parade, so like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
level
yeah.
of people are watching
down.
but then
like
there's
kind
like
of
it's and then it's completely just all sorts of beasts down below in the market space.
Well, Greer is gonna start making her way up, but at a kind of like casual pace. She's still kind of getting her bearings. As she's walking, can she kind of like catch snippets of conversations, or the speaker down below like kind of glean some information about what's happening?
The hubbub echoes up the tree, but you're able to catch certain phrases like "down with claw lickers" and
whoa, what a name! Sorry.
"Down with claw lickers," "down with tyranny, we won't be eaten." And the one that sticks out, that catches your ear the most, is "praise the Legion," which you weren't expecting.
Yeah. At that, I think her ear kind of twitches, picking up this particular phrase. And once again, her like eyes would narrow a little bit. As you said, it's kind of unexpected, and it carries with it a weight that she doesn't know if the Legion can kind of shoulder. if what's happening here is happening on its own. Yeah, there is some I think concern about where this is headed. Because the sentiment of like, we don't want to get eaten. Yeah, I get it, bro. As a hare, obviously.
What's interesting, you've never seen a riot like this before.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I say riot, a protest.
Yeah.
Like a gathering of prey
Initiative.
Challenging this kind of delicate natural order that's mostly circumvented through fishing. Like, this hasn't happened that you've heard of.
So I imagine she's like walking up these stairs, but she's taking like purposeful steps, but at a stride where it won't like draw attention to her that she's just hauling ass these steps. And she's kind of like looking down at this procession, at the amount of creatures, at the speaker, at these sentiments of praise the Legion, and the amount of little creatures kind of aggregated here. And I think she thinks back to that to that yowling she heard and how it was suddenly stopped. And she's wondering if that was an expression of some manner of culling of these people's feelings here. I think she's kind of like, unflinching about it. Like, she's not really big on predators, so she's also not like, hell yeah, like, kill that cat. I think in her head she's already thinking like what this might mean.
As you're moving up the stairs, these thoughts are kind of coming to you, and you're kind of mulling over them as you're kind of taking in the surroundings. And they're coming slower just because there's so much overstimulation that you're having to take in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But you move past a larger office and actually kind of bump into, well, not say you bump into, but a squirrel runs into you with an armful of papers and scrolls, and then and he kind of goes, oh, darn, and kind of falls over, and some of these kind of like messenger tubes start to blump, 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 and start to roll down the stairs, and he goes, fuck, and he scrabbles down on all fours to kind of gather and stop as many as he can, and some people from the crowd help
in some kind of casual manner, like if one tube kind of comes up near her foot, she can like kick it up and catch it in her hand, because she's really cool.
And some other members of the crowd stop to kind of take some, not take some, but like pick them up and pass them over, and the squirrel kind of looks a bit abashed, and he's all thank you, and he kind of is grabbing a lot of things, and putting them into a barrow, a wheelbarrow, that is at the side of this office. And you look and you notice that it's a moon messenger office. There's a large carved window where presumably things are able to fly in and out, and it's got the crest of the moon messengers, which is a crescent moon with a star in the middle, and in the star is a little envelope. And you kind of peer inside the building, and you see that several squirrels are very rapidly packing up, it seems.
I think as she's going to like walk up with a few of the tubes that she caught, because she's super cool, she's gonna drop them in the wheelbarrow for the squirrel, and peering into the office, she'll kind of casually remark like, are the moon messenger, is the charter house of the moon messengers getting ready to leave Holdall?
Make a willpower roll, because you're emoting and making casual conversation, but make it advantage because you've helped the squirrel and he's caught off guard.
Yeah, okay. 2 successes.
Yeah, 2 successes. The squirrel, rather offhanded, sort of just says, have you been down there? Have you heard what that rat is saying? It's sensible to move everything out. And he kind of looks at you and goes, have we met before? Thank you for the scrolls, but sorry, a lot's going on.
She looks over at the squirrel. Have they met before?
No. You don't think you have.
Yeah. She says, no, so she just says, I don't believe we've had. I'm out of town, but seems
well, when you say out of town, he kind of turns around and says, well, best you get out of town. This place isn't safe anymore.
So it would seem the sentiments spoken so brazenly below seem quite divisive. What was that smell on the air? Burning
and
flesh?
he looks a little shyly, and he says, They burned Matro alive. Matro the Venerated. I never liked the guy, but he didn't do a bad job. Ugh. Well, we're getting out.
Her ear kind of twitches, and she just repeats like, Madro. He was the kind of so he can follow up like,
Yeah, I got you. I am just scrolling in my notes.
Sorry.
Da, 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 da. Madro was, he led the chapter house of the Thick Bloods. You know, the head of the guard here. And he pauses, he cocks his head, and he says, you know, a mink. You know, right?
She nods.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because minks are they because they're mustelids, right?
Maybe
no, they are carnivorous. Yeah.
They're in my list of they are the sort of similar shape and size, but they're exclusively carnivorous.
Okay. She, like, when he says, "Oh, a mink," you know, she nods as if she knew all this time.
Yeah.
Kind of making this very casual conversation. She says, well, if those flames will reach anywhere near the tree. And she kind of pats the wheelbarrow. She says, "And you best make haste."
And the scroll says, yeah. You wouldn't be... You look strong. How about favor for a favor? Come help us out. Get the stuff out the house and we'll set you up. We're going over to, another town. I'm sure we can get you some food, some work. Maybe even get you into the guild. He gives you a little kind of appraising look.
Mm-hmm.
His eyes dwindle a moment on the two sheathed knives on your legs as well, thoughtfully.
Yeah. She looks at him like kind of like she's not considering the offer, but she's pretending as, you know, it's like, oh, that's very nice of you to offer. So she say, well, that does seem like a very fine offer in these trying times, but I'm afraid that I must find someone before I leave Holdall. But I do appreciate your concern for a fellow outsider.
And he says, well, I best get back to it. Best of luck to you. And he nods, kind of solemnly at you. And then he kind of stuffs all of the scrolls he's got in and the seals and all the bottles of ink and stuff into the barrel, kind of organizes it, and then kind of skitters back inside. And you've noticed that there have been, during your short conversation, there have been other squirrels and a very bleary looking bat putting stuff into this barrel, which is getting slowly fuller and fuller and fuller, and organizing things. And he scurries back inside, and you notice they've got like a conga line going of like, get this in the wheelbarrow.
Yeah. And as she kind of glances around, given the amount of creatures that seem to be acting with no small amount of concern, she assumes they will be able to find someone who might be keen on such an offer. She's gonna continue up the stairs, and kind of continue in the directions that she's received from both the rat sentinel below and Redclaw in pursuit of the Yellow Band Club. So she's kind of, as she's climbing up the stairs, she's orienting herself with like where the elevator is. If she can, like, are there kind of...
I'd actually say, because it'd be really cool, there's an internal, like the elevator there's like windows into the elevator, so like doorways. So at regular intervals up the tree, you can get into the elevator either from inside the tree or outside the tree. So you know very easily where the thing is, and you actually see it as you are getting further up the tree. You see the Yellow Band Club, because it's the kind of the shop front of the Yellow Band Club is bright yellow, painted, with sort of like daisies accentuating it. And as you're getting up to the Yellow Band Club, you're maybe halfway up the tree, because this is the diagram of the tree. This is like where you're at now.
Yeah, we can put the little...
You were like here-ish, and now you're here-ish.
Lovely. Strong legs.
Yeah, strong legs. You make it up the tree. It only takes you maybe a few minutes, because it's a tall tree, but like you're able to climb. You're taking the steps maybe 2 or 3 at a time. And you get up to the club, And you're noticing that now, this far up, the noise from below is indistinguishable. It's just like a loud hubbub that's echoing up the tree. And very occasionally a bird will fly up or fly down from the upper branches. But otherwise the creatures here are only kind of like they're looking down and talking with one another in kind of like quiet tones. And they give you like a long look as you move past without necessarily breaking their conversations. Not like, oh, looking at you like, ooh, who are you?
Yeah,
just sort of like the nervous...
She's obviously... not participating in the same thing as everyone else. And I do imagine she's kind of aware of that, but she just continues with her eyes like affixed.
You notice that they
the
anxiously are looking at anything that moves by. You smell tension. Because I feel like animals can smell fear, right? You can smell that flight response. It's starting to buzz.
Ooh, yeah. She's definitely keeping that in the back of her mind, which I think is why she's moving like steadily, that steady pace, not running, because I imagine that could get some folks spooked. And what if they tip over the balustrade? We don't need any of that. We don't need Grear framed for manslaughter, beast slaughter.
So you make your way to the Yellow Band Club. The door is open. They're sort of like, pub doors where like they're opened in the summer. They're open and pinned open, and like it's very, you kind of see in, and it's a pretty dark bar that's illuminated mostly from a large open platform on the other side that lets the daylight in. Balcony. So yeah, like the balcony here.
The one where the birds can sit on.
Yeah. So it's lit up by the balcony on the other side. It's mostly dark on the inside with tables that are empty. There's a bar on the kind of tree side of the club where a otter is kind of nervously he sees you come in and he's nervously like drumming his claws on the table. On the bar front. There are maybe a couple other beasts having quiet conversations inside with like half-drunk pints that they have not, which like look like they haven't been touched. There's no foam.
Yeah.
The atmosphere in here is just as tense as it is outside.
Yeah. So does this otter seem to be like the proprietor of this place? Like, is the otter placed behind a bar or something? Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, he's behind the bar and he's drumming his claws on the bar and he's kind of looking at you coming in.
If I look around, especially outside to the balcony, do I see any, like, crow-like shape?
You do see a crow.
Okay.
And a couple other birds. There's a robin that's very, very quietly chirping to a coltet.
Okay. Well, she will make her way to this barkeep, to this otter. And kind of looking around, and she'll approach them and she's not gonna be like, oh, good morning, how are you, because things are shit. She's just going to walk up and say, I'm searching for someone, a crow called Walnut. I heard that they quite often reside in this establishment.
The otter seems a little distracted that you've just come over and started talking, and he goes, Walnut, you say?
A crow. Yes.
Crow. I can't necessarily remember any distinguishing features. Why are you looking for Walnut? He asks a little worriedly.
Oh,
anxiously. Is the word I choose.
I think in that unflinching, casual manner, she continues on, and she says, two acquaintances of mine apparently were guests of Walnuts in Holdall, so I don't know where they're staying. other than perhaps knowing that they're staying with Walnut or somewhere by Walnut's grace, perhaps.
He kind of relaxes a touch, as if he was expecting a different answer. And he says...
And she totally clocks us, like, God damn it, Walnut, what shady biz are you into?
And he
Creepy
says,
dude.
I haven't seen him. Oh, or a crow, I guess. But there's one on the balcony if you want to go say hello. Though I don't know
Well,
I'm sorry.
She kind of looks at him and says, well, you just said that you haven't seen him. Or, because, sorry, maybe I misunderstood.
He's tripping over his words, don't worry.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So, so she looks at him and says, well, that's a shame. When was the last time you did see him?
And make a willpower roll. But I think I'm not going to give you advantage unless you tag something.
I mean, she has the.
You've used the unflinching to get something out of him.
No, I haven't talked with him with unflinching yet.
Well, it wasn't a skill check, but you did like use it. You're like, oh, in an unflinching way. I just sort of use that casual.
Yeah. Oh, so I can tag it, or can I not? Sorry.
See if you can tag something else, just for fun.
Okay. How about instructing apprentices? Sometimes if apprentices are giving her bullshit, she's just like, nah, son.
Yes. No, I love it. I swear. I only just want like cool answers out of you. That's it.
Yeah. Critical success.
You break out the fabled and rarely used teacher's voice.
Which we've talked a little bit about how some of the other members of the Tusk Legion talk about her. This is the voice of the teacher Grear the Knife.
I love it. So you break out the voice. Oh, so when did you last see him? And Hyora goes, I think it might have been about a day ago before all this nasty stuff started up. Gives you a look and he says, you said you were a friend of his, or you had friends who were a friend of his, right?
That's correct.
And he kind of looks around the bar and you notice that there's only prey in here. And that he's the only not prey. He says, get off in half an hour. He's saying this quietly now. Get off in half an hour. Maybe we can check on in his house in the branches.
Well, and she kind of it gives him another teacher look that's almost like if you don't do your homework, you're so in trouble. So she just looks, but she looks at him and says, let's hope we can find him then.
And
half an hour. Shall I stay here?
He'll pour you a drink.
Sorry.
He won't even ask for anything. He'll just pour you a pint, pump it out of a barrel, and he says, and she's gonna pass it to you wordlessly, and he says, "Thank you very much for your custom." He says it a bit louder.
Yeah.
And then he kind of goes back to kind of polishing something, nervously. Busy, nervous work with his hands.
Yeah, she just tips the pint in a kind of salute-ish way, just thank you without saying thank you, and is going to just gently nurse this pint of beer, waiting for him to show her the way.
Where do you sit?
As Grear has it, or as Grear tends to, she sits in a strategic position where she can see everyone at all the entrances. So some manner of corner.
You sit in an empty corner of the pub, and you look, and from the balcony, you notice that there's a toad kind of striding, kind of stressfully walking up and down, that you hadn't necessarily noticed before because the balcony's quite wide. And then you get the vaguest, you've seen them somewhere before. And then they look up at you, and their sort of black eyes in the silhouette of the bright daylight go wide when they see you, and they go, "Ah, Grear!" and plop, 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 plop. And you still quite place them, and they plop themselves down next to you at one of the tables, and they go, "Oh, Grear, it's very, very happy to see you. It's a mess."
She casually finishes the drink she was taking from the pint, and says, "Quite a fine mess indeed."
And he puts out his I was gonna say flipper? What? Hand? It's not a. Do toads have paws? Webbed hand.
Yeah, there you go.
Puts out his webbed hand. He says, "Hazel, we served at T8 and T4.
So I recognize him from I helped with those regiments, right?
Yes, you do. You have worked at T8 and T4, and this is probably where you saw him. It seems to be one of those scenarios where he's remembered you, but you haven't really had the time to notice him.
Yeah, I'm too important and too cool. But also just that she probably with apprentices, she just meets a lot of people. So,
and actually, maybe let's say it like this: you recognize him, and you're like, "Oh, this is an apprentice that I taught him enough," and then was like, "Cool, go on. I don't need to teach you anymore, and I'm not gonna teach you anymore because you're not a tanner."
Yeah. She as he extends the hand, she takes it. And as she does, she kind of holds that webbed hand, she tightens her grip a little bit on it and pulls him in a little bit and says, "Well, I'm not sure how good you are at reading the room all the way up from here, but perhaps mentioning our regiments is at this moment not the best idea."
And he his eyes bob a little down into his larger toed chest, and he goes, "Oh, right." And you notice that he's not wearing uniform. He just seems to be in a plain shawl with a backpack over one shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I was going to say incognito, but then I thought infrognito.
He's a toad!
I know he's a toad. I know. Yes. And he says, and this is kind of where we're going to end the episode, but he says, I guess you're here looking for Quang and Shy, as I am."
She nods, looking at him very intently.
"Well, let me tell you what's been going on. That's where we'll end."
Oh, okay. Oh man. Also, I love that. I just love seeing toads out in the wild. I have forever marred them with that voice, and now I get
was
to hear
almost
it.
worried because it started a little bit too more American. I was worried I wouldn't be able to pull an old man out of nowhere.
No, you definitely got it right. Oh, what's this? Is this the toad theme?
This is curious, but I just thought it'd be a little bit more heartier than Oh no, this is a bit weird.
This is the toad. No, I like it. This is the toad being incognito. This is the toad doing a Scooby-Doo tiptoe across the room, being I'm stealthing.
Yeah, so a very exciting episode today. A lot of development. What did you think of the Badger Burrow?
There was a gosh dang murder mystery in there, and I do know that if we had Pip and Balthazar in that situation, we'd get some more background, but Grear is too focused to do that stuff, and I'm sorry. But I really like it was just so, you know, I was expecting to go into some abandoned tunnels and maybe there's gonna be something scary there or something, but the fact that there was some story behind whatever happened there was so intriguing, and the traps and everything is.
Oh, don't worry. There's a story for everything.
Oh yeah. I do not doubt that. I really really like that though. I'm kind of glad that I decided to jump down a tunnel instead of. Though then again, like, if I don't know if I got to see this guy got this Madro the Venerated burned alive or something. I think I saved myself and any listeners some harrowing experiences, because
there is definitely. I won't do any distressing content. It's more for the story and the events.
Yeah, but no, that's some dark shit. Where
we're getting to some darker stuff with this interlude, which is totally not in suiting with this lovely little toad anthem.
But I like it. Or, I mean, yeah, actually, yeah.
I mean, the music's right now like the bum 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 bum.
Yeah. I mean, this is also pretty cheery. This is a continuation of the theme.
Yeah, this is definitely this. I did it. I've labeled all these different tracks of music that I've put together. This one's Curious, and this is for Pipistrelle nosing through someone's stuff.
Oh, that's perfect.
that was the whole mind I had. Was like Pipistrelle sneaking in and looking at people's like journals and sock drawers and things.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Classic Pip.
Gonna move on to Calm. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I'm very excited to see how things progress, and the whole upheaval in the city is fascinatingly dark. And I wonder how things will unravel for Grear and Violet. Was it the toad's name? Did I get that right?
Hazel.
Oh, Hazel. Yeah.
I think I said Hazel.
I wonder how the rest of our mission here will go.
Yeah, well, I think for now that'll be it. I think we should reintroduce ourselves, and then I'm gonna go find some lunch.
Oh yes, lunch is definitely in order.
Lunch. I'm Brian. I use he/him pronouns. I have been the narrator of this lovely Beast Fable. You can join us for, I think, what might be the final part of this interlude, Interlude 3, next week, where I also have an exciting announcement for Dungeons on a Dime. Little hint. You can follow me on social media at Dungeons on a Dime, all one word, on Twitter and Instagram. And today I have been joined by the fascinating, the venerable, the amazing Ver.
Ooh, that's a lot of descriptors to live up to. I have been Ver. You can find me on social media, on Twitter under Verface, on Tumblr under Sticks and Sharks, and you can also find me on Patreon under Verface. I mentioned before, I'm a comic artist. I'm currently working on a 40-page one-shot comic, the progress of which I post on my Patreon. So if anyone is interested in my flavor of storytelling, which actually verges on some of these darker themes that we're touching on in Beast Fables, you can check that out and see some teasers on my Patreon while supporting me. Nice. And yeah, thank you, Brian, for having me. This interlude has been a blast so far. I'm really enjoying playing as Grear, and I'm really enjoying seeing these aspects of the world that Balthazar and Pipistrelle have not yet really seen in their naivety and kind of greenhornness when it comes to. I also
can't wait to get back to them with all of this knowledge there, and then the irony of some of the things they're going to be encountering. It's going to be really cool.
I'm very excited about what we'll see. And I mean, I already know that I'm really gonna miss Grear because she's competent as hell. And then there's Balthazar who's just like, I'm Balthazar. And I'm gonna have some character whiplash. But who knows? Maybe after this interlude is done, one day we get to revisit Grear again on her merry adventures.
Yeah.
But we do have to finish this one first, so I'm
Yes.
definitely looking forward to that next week.
Speaking of finishing, it's going to be goodbye for now.
Indeed.
We will see you next week, Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. British summertime. Though that's not going to be much longer. It's going to be GMT soon because it's winter.
Yeah, gross.
Ugh. Anyway, see you soon and have a lovely week, guys.
Yeah, have a lovely week, everybody. See ya.
Bye-bye.